Get your popcorn ready for this one. Okay, so you look at the AP poll. Auburn remains #1 despite losing to #3 Florida on Saturday. The Tigers narrowly edging out #2 Alabama. Duke falls to tie for #3 with Florida. Tennessee and Houston both drop one spot to the 5th and 6th spot. Now, when you talk to Jerry Palm and look at his bracket projections, we're looking at the #1 seeds, and they remain the same. Bama, Tennessee, Auburn, and Duke. And someone that I'm sitting next to has a very big problem with that.
I do. I'm trying to take deep breaths. We're welcoming on Gary Parrish and our bracketologist, Jerry Palm. Jerry, I am really upset because, okay, Florida goes into the jungle, beats Auburn. The second time they've knocked off a #1 team this season alone. Only the 5th team to ever do that. They do it without Elijah Martin. They split the season series with Tennessee, and somehow we're still seeing Tennessee on the 1 line and no Florida in there.
Yeah, it has to do with their strength of schedule. It's just not good enough. They don't have the depth of quality wins that the teams that they're competing with have. Now, they've got 2 great ones, right? Tennessee and Auburn on the road. That would be the best win anybody has all year. There's just not enough depth because they didn't play the non-conference schedule that some of these other teams played. And obviously in the league, you know, the schedule's going to be fine, but they haven't caught up yet. And when they do catch up, if they catch up, they'll get there, but they're not ready to get there yet.
Jacqueline, cover your ears because I'm going to repeat a lot of the stuff Jerry is pointing out. I did think of you when I was updating the top 25-1 on Sunday morning, and I said she's going to be so disappointed. But we talked about it last week. What if Florida is able to go win at Auburn? Would that jump them up to the 1 seed line? And I said it'll depend on what else happens around the country, but I'm not certain. And now here we are. The truth is, Florida is obviously very, very good, but that 4-3 record in quadrant 1 just does not stack up to the other 1 seeds. Auburn is 12-2 in the same quadrant. Duke 5-3, Tennessee 8-4. I do think you could actually have an argument about Duke and Florida for the 4th #1 seed if you want to, but in this moment I would lean slightly with the Blue Devils. Florida would be my top 2 seed.
Okay, my gripe is with Tennessee because I know that they're 8-1 quad 1 and we're 4-3, but we split the season series. The losses for Florida, we lose to Kentucky on the road, then Mizzou at home. Their losses, Vandy, Kentucky at home, and then they lose to Auburn. I feel like the losses are similar, but our wins are better, GP. So I feel like not all quad 1 wins are created equal. And to Jerry Palm's point, like, we have the best win of anyone in college basketball, and it's probably going to stay that way for the rest of the season. Am I valid in being upset right now?
Hey, I wish everybody who reacted on social media to rankings or projected brackets came as educated as you're coming with. At least you know what you're talking about and you're making solid points. So often when people are complaining about this kind of stuff, they're just complaining. You're making good points. There is a case to be made. I think we're splitting hairs here on some level. Again, Florida could get there. That win at Auburn is always going to be massive. Right now, though, if we're ranking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I would have Florida 5th.
GP calling out the haters there, but she has notes, like you said.
Yes,
she comes with receipts.
Side by side, because I was so mad, but we have to move on for time's sake.
Okay, we are going to move on now. One of the biggest risers this week is Arizona going from a 3 seed to, going from a 5 seed down to a 3 seed. Jerry, what have you seen from them recently that made you bump them up that way?
Well, the win over Texas Tech took out one of the teams that was ahead of them on that move, and Marquette lost as well. Kansas also lost, so they got a little help from around the country in other places, but it sounds like a big move. It's actually 5 spots on the S-curve because they were the top 5 seed, and now they're the lowest 3 seed. So they went from 17 to 12. That's a nice move. It's 5 spots, but it's actually 2 seeds. So, but the win over Texas Tech, that's a big win for Arizona, and they've been stacking quality wins. So, you know, they've been creeping up this bracket slowly, and then they got a little bigger move this weekend.
So there's Arizona going in one direction, Kansas going in a little bit of a different direction on Jerry's bracketology, falling to the 5 line. GP, do you think Kansas is still a national championship contender?
I would never count out Bill Self with a preseason #1 team, but Jacqueline, you've been watching the same team I have, and they don't look like it. They're just 2-3 in their past 5, really struggling offensively. The defensive stuff is still national championship good, but they have a hard time scoring, and it just looks like a flawed basketball team. Again, there's still some interesting pieces, and it's still Bill Self, so never say never, but if I were putting together a list of legitimate national championship contenders right now, and you told me I could take it all the way out to, say, 7, 8, even 9, I don't know that I would have Kansas on that list. They just have never, for any extended period of time in this season, looked like one of the best teams in the country.
St. John's has been unbelievable. Rick Pitino absolutely cooking right now. St. John's a 4 seed in the latest bracketology for Jerry. What's the ceiling for this team? Do you think they could get to a 2 seed by the end of the season?
Yeah, they could, but they would have to continue to win through the Big East here. They've gotten to the meat of their schedule now. Up until 2 games ago, they hadn't played any of the other contenders for NCAA tournament spots in the Big East, and now they've beaten Marquette. They've won at UConn. They have return trips with both of those. They've got 2 games with Creighton, so those games are coming where they can resume build, and if they win all the way out, they're still sitting there with 3 losses as they enter the Big East tournament. Yeah, they have a good chance of getting to a number 2 seed.
I would agree with Jerry. Excellent chance to get there if they keep performing at this rate, particularly on the defensive end. And Jenny, this has become my favorite story in the sport. Rick Pitino at age 72, leading a Big East program, possibly to its first conference championship since 1992. And I should maybe put it a little stronger than that. It's not just possibly, it is now the expected outcome. St. John's is expected to win a Big East title for the first time since 1992. This is a proud program, a historically strong program, but one that has been operating off of the national radar for much of the past 3 decades. But here's what happens when you go out and hire an undeniably all-time great coach and give him NIL money to buy basketball players with and build a contender. He builds it very quickly. This is just year 2, and having spent, I believe the updated count is 25 nights in New York already this year, I can just tell you that that city is getting behind St. John's basketball in a way that I have never, ever seen, and that's because St. John's basketball hasn't been close to this in a long, long time.
And you know what? Every time I open my phone, there's also some crazy, amazing post-game interview with Rick Pitino where he's just saying some crazy soundbite that's always very entertaining. GP, Jerry, we certainly appreciate it. Walking us through and having a healthy conversation about why the Florida Gators are on the 2 line, but we'll get there. I know we will. Getting a look at the bubble teams. The last 4 in, according to Jerry Palm, San Diego State, Georgia, Arkansas, and Texas, and the first 4 out, SMU, Pittsburgh, BYU, and North Carolina in that conversation as well.
I feel like you handled that very well, I've got to say.
Thank you. I was taking a lot of deep breaths.
I know. Yeah. You did a good job. For more, check out the Eye on College Basketball. Scan that QR code or listen to wherever you take in your favorite pods.